about XRP. Make the case for it, because there are a bunch of different cryptocurrencies out there. You know, Bitcoin kind of is decentralized. You know, you don't want a centralized bank involved. Ethereum allows you to program decentralized applications. Make the case for XRP. What is its benefit and purpose?
Well, I would say there's kind of two aspects to that. So one of them is like, what is Ripple doing with XRP? And the other one is like, what is everybody else in the world doing with XRP? From Ripple's point of view, XRP has the properties to be a sort of intermediary or settlement asset because it's fast, it is cheap, and it's cheap to move. So what I mean by a settlement asset is when you pulled out that 50-pound note and you pointed out like you can't move the 50-pound note to Mars in 50 milliseconds. XRP you can move around the world in just a couple of seconds. It's much faster than Bitcoin or Ethereum.
You would need a very fast rocket ship to get there in that time.
So one example of a use case that Qualix is using right now is remittances between the United States and Mexico. So rather than having to move that money the conventional way, which takes several days and is very expensive, they just buy XRP at the moment they need it, and a few seconds later they sell that XRP for Mexican pesos. So what you have is you have a remittance pipeline that sources the liquidity on demand, and you're not exposed to the volatility of cryptocurrencies because XRP is so fast you hold it for a minute or two. That's less volatility than the peso over 2 or 3 days. And it's 40 to 60% cheaper. So we're pursuing those kind of intermediate, like if we're going to have hundreds of thousands of assets, we can't have millions of asset pairs with deep liquidity. Like you can't take any one of those 100,000 assets and have lots of liquidity to every single other one of those 100,000 assets. There's just too many of them. So our strategy is to position XRP as sort of the intermediary asset, the sort of the liquidity source. As far as what other people are doing, the XRP ledger has very low fees, very high throughput, and very high speeds. And it also has a decentralized exchange built in, so it can host other assets. So other people are experimenting with things like micropayments use cases, like eliminating advertisements where you pay for content instead, those kinds of things.
Is it important for everyday users to be using XRP for its success? Because I know, the ultimate goal is to get banks using it, right? To kind of make cross-border payments, settle accounts.
You could look at Ripple's strategy as top-down. The internet actually followed a similar path, like government and military adopted it first, then it was institutions like universities, and even big data providers were on there first before there was an environment that was mature enough for retail adoption. Like putting my Ripple hat on, there are other people who use XRP who are pursuing these direct retail use cases, and they would disagree with me. But I think it's a little early. If you remember the early days of the internet, if many of you were there, computers were very expensive, modems were expensive, and specialty items. If you found an internet service provider, if there even was one, they would give you a sheet of instructions that you had to be an engineer to understand. It wasn't graphical. Like, it wasn't ready for retail adoption, and I don't think cryptocurrencies are ready for retail adoption yet. And when you see products that have like a retail skin on them, they're still mostly power users. They're still pretty limited, and and given the volatility and the risk, I don't see it yet. But there are people who disagree with me and think that we're ready for retail use now. I think we'll get there. I just think it's early. That's kind of why Ripple doesn't have retail-facing products, why Ripple is pursuing institutional adoption.